Hi everyone, this is Frog, and here's Ray, there's Angie, got Elena here, and guest of honor, Ed Perratore is reading from his books today. So we're going to go ahead and first do a introduction. We'll read from Ed's bio, and then he himself will introduce a little bit about his work and some background on the books. All right, so Ray will start off with the bio.
Ed Perratore's writing career spans nearly 40 years. The thousands of pieces with his byline are chiefly on technology, property care, and health, and he's a former staffer of PC Magazine and Consumer Reports. His freelance credits include Reader's Digest, Newsweek, the New York Star Ledger, Byte, and Computer Shopper. Ed also authors a humor blog, The Fog Bell, found at thefogbell.com, and is the author of the nonfiction work One Man's Journey, A Walk on the Croton Aqueduct Trail. He is working on a second horror novel, which would be... Is out now, which is Hindred Spirits. When he's not writing, he enjoys hiking, taking pictures, fishing, spending time with Elena, his wife of 36 years, and his family. Ed is a military veteran as well.
Okay. Yay, thank you. All right, so I'm going to put the camera down here, and then this is Ed.
Alrighty. Thank you for coming. I'm Ed Perratore. Let me first give you some background on the novels. I've been a devoted horror fan since my youth, and I have the early nightmares to prove it. I completed drafts of both novels, Hindred Spirits and The Coven, which worked backwards, in the 90s, but I needed to put them aside while I worked full-time as a writer and editor. Hindred Spirits was first. I wrote it during my first years as a parent. The Coven came next, soon after we became homeowners, surrounded by wood, which matters a lot with this story, and its locale was inspired by 2 summers we vacationed at Lake George in the Adirondacks. I've been a freelance writer and editor for a few years now, but during the COVID shutdowns, my work dried up for some time. My wife, Elena, over here, suggested I dust off the 2 novels, along with a nonfiction book I did on the old Croton Aqueduct Trail in Westchester County. So I spent months reading, revising, updating, and finally completing them. I'm grateful that Curio Room today stocks all 3 books. Hindred Spirits is a story of Natalie Leffingwell, an abused 9-year-old who one night learns of the power of her spirit to temporarily exit her body as it heals. She is not alone, she learns, but one rule governs all such troubled children. In case of physical danger to the body, their spirits must quickly reunite with their material selves. Inadvertently, Natalie breaks this rule. Trapped between the living and the dead, the girl desperately seeks a friend and will do whatever she needs to get one. In the 2 passages I'm about to read, both taking place less than 24 hours apart in the story, Natalie is going all out to teach Mickey, a young boy paralyzed by a freak infection, to will his spirit away from his body. Mickey lives with his family in what Natalie still considers her home, and these late chapters lead to the novel's climax. I'll read 2 passages from Hindred Spirits. Mickey, in his room, had an active night for a different reason. It had begun with the heat, cranked up for reasons he didn't understand, and the sweat that trickled down the side of his cheek. Mickey didn't like sweat. He dreaded all the things that, by virtue of working our arms and legs, typically represent but annoyances. Sweat. He could feel it moistening his skin all over his body, but could do nothing about it without help. Mosquitoes, bees, and in the city, even the occasional cockroach. When he wasn't dreaming of his drunk aunt and the bicycle flying, the August sun glinting off the polished chrome of the slowly spinning spokes, he dreamed of insects, 1 spider, 2 spiders, tickling their way up his bare thigh, one stepping across his gym shorts and onto his belly, joined by 6, 7, 10 others as they approached his neck, his chin, his eyes. It was during just such a dream that he felt himself pulled out of danger, yet he believed he was still asleep. A hand in his dream was rubbing something across his forehead. He could hear humming, that nursery song about the pretty little horses. It was a girl's voice, but not his sister's. Mickey opened his eyes. From his limited perspective, he could see nothing strange. On his dresser, a clown bank smiled amiably toward the doorway. From a knob hung a Sheriff Woody doll with his cowboy hat. But what he could ascertain was that he had been sweating, and, no dream, someone had rubbed his sweat away with a moist washcloth. Who's there?" he whispered. The silence frightened him, however possible it was that his mother or sister had stepped in to check on him. Then came a voice. "Just me. Come play with me, Mickey." The voice seemed far away, yet somehow close. As good as he was getting at judging the nature and source of sounds, Mickey could not tell where this came from. One thing he knew, whoever did say it didn't really understand his problem. "I can't. Who are you?" "Yes, you can," replied the voice, the same he had heard in his dream. Was it a dream at all? "You lie there and close your eyes, think real hard, and pick yourself up. It's easy." "Up," he whispered incredulously. "But I can't even—" "You leave your body where it is. Your body rests. You play. You can dance and run and fly." "But I can't try. Play with me, Mickey." "Are you an angel?" "I guess I'm like one. You can be too. Just try." Mickey was smart enough to keep his voice low. There were no angels, his father had said, but his exasperation was making it difficult. I'm not dead. If I go with the angels, that means—" "Mickey, we won't go anywhere you don't want to go. Do you want to move by yourself? Do you want to walk?" The voice paused, then changed tone. "I have to go now." "No, wait," he almost shouted after her, after the voice. Instead, Mickey closed his eyes and released a tear that, once he fell asleep, Natalie wiped from his face. Less than 24 hours later in the story, they meet again. "Tell me how to do it, now, please." The voice that responded was steady, confident. This time he was ready for her instructions. "Mickey, the hardest part the first time is to lie still. You don't have to worry about that. Just think about floating. Think really, really hard with your eyes closed. Relax your face. Think about floating. You don't feel anything against the pillow. You're floating up. That's it. Don't talk. You're doing it. I can see 2 of you. The boy gasped in the realization that he was doing it. He was joining that vast world of play where paralysis was nothing but what he was leaving behind on the bed, more with each passing moment. He saw the sinking outline of his covers as he rose slowly, then more swiftly, with the revelation that he had done it. This was the triumph he needed to egg him on, not some little finger twitching in a therapy room that made him so anxious. Here were no sessions, no baths, no waiting for someone to feed him or move him or... He flipped wildly about in the small confines of his room, somersaulting through the air and raising his arms, legs kicking toward the heavens. Mickey crouched, then sprang up to the ceiling. He clenched and opened his fists, turned his wrists one way and the other, bent and twirled his arms, finally flapping them like a puppy shaking free the raindrops. It took several seconds before Mickey could even begin to calm down. And once he did, he turned, a bit shamefacedly, to greet his savior. "Just like I said?" she asked him. The boy studied his friend. Pretty, though he would never admit it, the girl stood before him with her arms crossed over everyday clothes. She had long hair he supposed was blonde when the girl was in her body. Her spirit, as well as his, appeared a wispy gray. And a thin face that seemed bothered by something. But to him, as friendly a face as he had ever seen. She looked younger than his sister. Mickey wondered who would win in a fight. His sister, though, was sometimes friendly, sometimes, well, weird. Why she didn't like him anymore since he got sick. This girl was different, he could tell with the complete assurance of a child. What's your name? The girl paused. Natalie. I live here. Mickey chuckled and began to jump up and down. What do you mean you live here? You do not. You're funny, Natalie. Well, she replied, shrugging. She rose to meet Mickey at the ceiling and, upside down, continued. I do, kind of. Can you keep a secret and not be, scared or anything? Yep, I can keep a secret, all right. Okay, I, left my body and never went back. My daddy is a very mean man who hit me all the time. Hit my mom, too. One night I was hurt real bad. It's easier to leave your body when you're real sick or hurt. And I left my body and never went back. I came here. The house was empty then. This is your room, but it's mine too. Is that okay? The boy nodded. But that means you're dead, right? Natalie shrugged again and said, with a grin, well, nobody told me. I don't think so. I'd have went to heaven, right? Smiling, Mickey floated to the window and passed his head through to gaze at the docile corner of Mason and Oak and his streetlight. It was true. If you died, you had to go to heaven or hell. Otherwise, this neighborhood would be packed with millions of ghosts so close together they wouldn't know whose arms were whose. He looked back at Natalie. I can go back whenever I want, right? Sure. Want to try now? No. Let's explore the house. He needed not tell Natalie that while he knew he'd have to return to his body come morning, it wasn't hard to imagine the sweet notion, of staying outside his body and never going back. Which was, of course, the point. Thank you. Second novel, The Coven Tree, is a tale about a hideous, gnarled tree with a dark connection to a coven of witches that had worshipped at its foot. The tree today has been leveled for a condo development, but its wood retains the tree's dark nature and a curse against the family of he who massacred the coven centuries before. If you know the mythology of the Trojan horse, you can understand the threat the wood poses to that family's descendants once it is in their home. This early passage takes place one morning when a retired cabinet maker and antique dealer finds an immense cache of fine lumber stacked outside his shop. Here I read from The Coven Tree. The old man ran a calloused finger over his bifocals to remove some of the film of sawdust and perspiration that blocked his vision. He peered over his paperwork at the window and heard the sound of an approaching vehicle intrude upon the late-night stillness. Might this be the one for whom he is spending these long, agonizing hours in the hot back room of his shop? These hours that, at his age, he knew were too much for him? The sound faded. The driver had not turned off Route 31 after all. The old man paused, out of breath, to look out the window at the setting moon. It was just such a night that... But he stopped himself. Where on earth had that thought come from? It wasn't a good idea to question these things. To do that, he was astute enough to contend, would be to go mad. Here he was, a retired cabinet maker who, now almost 80, had laid down his chisel on doctor's orders a good 15 years before. His antique shop was one tourists drove over miles of mountains from the Lake George area to visit. If he wanted, he could close the shop tomorrow and live on his earnings for the rest of his days. He used to think that. Up to a month or two before, he couldn't quite remember when the wood showed up at his doorstep and the whispering began. The old man recalled little about that day before he'd made his discovery. Courtney was a quiet enough hamlet that when business was slow, He needed little for his eye to drift toward his fly rod in the corner, and a caddis fly that had been irresistible in past weeks. His rod and creel were ready to go that sunny morning, the 1st of June, and he was about to swap the caddis for a stonefly. His flask was all set, too, but after he'd hung the sign on his door, the one suggesting that customers give the bell cord a hard yank to retrieve the proprietor from the stream out back, the old man walked right into the wood. Once he picked up the gear he dropped and looked more closely, his eyes grew wide. Before him, to his astonishment, was the biggest stack of walnut lumber he had ever seen in his life. It was over his head, and he had stood 5'10" in his younger days. That day he hadn't made it out to meet the trout. In fact, the cabinet maker hadn't even brought his fly rod back to its place behind the counter. He vaguely remembered supposing someone had left the lumber and would call with instructions. He wondered this as he stared at the wood, admiring it for its beauty, its potential. Walnut, in its heyday, was used primarily as a veneer, a thin coating over a lesser wood, owing to its scarcity. And in my heyday, he thought, what I could have created with a supply like this. What was strange was that anyone who knew the old man knew his days as the journeyman were over. Sure, he was always happy to subcontract work. For a reasonable fee, he would take on a restoration task and farm out the sanding, the filling, and the finishing to people whose work he respected. But to create a piece from scratch, especially with such fine timber? He'd tell even an enemy, not that he could think of one, to head right over to Joe Fuller in North Creek. Skip the middleman, the trout are waiting. With a shrug, he had leaned an arm against the stack, and the whispering began. More of a hiss. Multiple voices seemed to begin speaking all at once in hushed, urgent tones. The old man jerked his arm away. His mouth grew dry as his lungs filled up with the fresh smell of the lumber. The voices, where had they come from? He touched but a finger to the wood, and they were back, louder, more insistent about something. He lifted his hand and heard nothing, only ambient sounds of the surrounding forest. The old man looked around, limped into his shop to find no one, no customers, nobody who could be pulling a prank. He went out through the back screen door and stared toward the woods. Mountain maple, American beech, black ash, a hobble bush laden with fragrant white flowers, the usual black flies. No people, and, he realized, no birds. Without even a car passing by the three-way intersection of Route 31 and Farrington Road, he suddenly felt very, very alone. Just him and the wood. Through years spent around power tools, the old man was nearly deaf. From the stream, he barely even heard the bell unless the wind was just right. Yet he had heard these voices as if they were in his own head. He felt compelled to touch it again. At his age, he needed no dares. If something seemed remotely dangerous, he had no problem shaking his head and walking away. A little brake trouble on his pickup truck? A frayed wire on his electric fan? Life was too short. He had endangered himself enough during a life of table saws, lathes, and planers. And when he had touched this wood, he had heard people talking. Harsh, frantic whispering. His solution? Fuller, he muttered aloud. Could have the whole stack for whatever he wants. Could have it for free. The old man snickered to no one. He could see his colleague's business card thumbtacked to the wooden wall behind the desk. Not that he needed to check it. He'd just give Joe a call, get the man's idiot son to come pick it up. And then, why, he'd see a doctor. Sure, I'm getting on. He'd been talking to himself for years. But ain't no reason to start hearing shit in my head. Hell, the closest we got to a crazy in this family is old Uncle Cobb, talking decades ago about how someday people would be shopping for antiques with their computers. Ha! Turned out you weren't too crazy after all. He did begin to walk, but in the wrong direction. His legs were disobeying him. They stepped determinedly back toward the stack of walnut. What the hell? In defense, the old man threw himself stiffly to the dusty floor, but his legs kept reaching out in a definite walking motion. Even when he lay fully on his side, He watched with increasing horror as his feet steadily advanced toward the stack, notwithstanding the weight they dragged along. They seemed not his own. Even if he'd wanted to walk this way, it just wasn't. This can't be happening. He wrapped a hand around the leg of the desk. Still his body edged closer to the wood. The desk was a flimsy one, and by logic, he should have dragged it at least a few feet toward the shop's back door. But now his hands disobeyed too. They relinquished their grip the instant his arm grew taut. Moments later, the feet stepped out the back door. The rest of the old man came next, tearful, shrieking to faraway ears. Outside he glimpsed the fly rod before his nose an instant before his legs began straightening to stand. His torso left the moist grass. He found himself flailing his arms, first to keep from falling, then to avoid touching what now awaited, inches away. But now his arms rebelled too. He was losing all control. He was reaching with both hands toward the wood, the beautiful wood. Upon contact, the voices filled his head. The old man wanted to scream at the pressure of what threatened to split his very skull. He fell to his knees and against the stack, shut his eyes, covered his ears, though the excruciating pain was all from within. Tried to run, charge out of the shop, hail a passing car, anything, if only his legs would obey. Nothing helped. He could not even turn toward the door. His quiet, rustic life as he had known it was closing up, ebbing in the presence of a force he could not recognize. Yet he knew, somehow knew, that it wanted something of him. He couldn't make out what they said, as the many voices blended together into a near constant hiss. The old man wanted to scream out, "What?" But the only sounds he could release were muted, whimpering sounds. He lost track of the time, but eventually he sensed that perhaps an hour had passed. He had fallen unconscious from the intense pain. Looking down, he cursed at the warm, wet feeling that told him he had soiled himself. The voices continued, the incessant whispering, but through what he now knew as repetition, he could discern a message. "Take the wood, take of the tree, take the wood, take it and build, build, build of the tree, take it and build." But build, he found the courage to answer, aloud in the midday sun. What should I build? Build of the tree, take it and build, build of it. Build what, for the love of God? The pain grew again into agony. The whispering turned angry now and divided into many discernible voices. He fell again to his knees and cupped his ears. "No love, no God, take and build, build. Speak of not of, you must hurry, take it, yes, take it. Build of the wood, no love, take it and build." The tears rolled down his cheeks. "Please, I'm an old man. I can no longer build anything for anybody. And I do not know what you want." One voice broke out from the others, a woman's. "Take of the wood," it said with authority. "You will know." Thank you very much, anybody, for listening. The book is available here, as is Hindred Spirits, in Curio Room. And hope you'll stop by and take more of a look at the book. It won't disappoint you.
Thank you, Ed.
Thank you.
Do you want to...
We also have the books listed online for those of you who are not in Mount Kisco. Just check out our website.
Right. And do you want to ask a few questions?
Oh yeah. Should we do it?
Yeah.
Yes, any questions from
Yeah.
anyone?
Does anyone have any questions or
Yeah.
comments?
I see a lot of nice people waving. But,
Hi everyone. Do you want to wave too?
yeah.
Great.
Hi,
There's going to be a
everybody.
recording
Thank you for listening.
Maybe we should see if anyone else has questions. Does anyone out there have a question for Ed? You can type it into the chat box or make a comment afterwards. We can still see it after the video goes on. Do either of you have a question or comment?
Yeah, I guess you have an idea of where these books came from? Like what was the the germ of like what made it started the ball rolling?
It's not like there's a particular thing say is the like this was the thing that happened or an event or anything like that, but it was mostly what I could recollect is the time of my life. Hindred Spirits is very much the story of a young girl. Not that our daughter is that girl by any means, but still as a new parent of a girl. This is a story of a girl, and with a lot of family and parenting related themes running through the book. Although so much of that is denied the main character, Natalie. That's kind of where it all came from. And for the Coven tree, I do remember thinking about home, the average home, and all the immense amount of wood, once living plants that make up a home, whether it's hardwood, furniture, say this table, just wood is everywhere, and it's made up of cells that formerly carried nutrients and water throughout the plant. After the trees are cut and died, the cell structure is still there. What if something, a wood that does not come of the same place, is able to use that and turn the very concept of home upside down and make the home, instead of a shelter, essentially a trap? All through one elaborate piece of furniture that they get very cheaply. It's what they think is an antique to die for, as I say. And once it is in their house, it changes things in a very big way. But we were in answer to your question, we were new homeowners at the time. Our first home, we'd grown up in apartments, and just being in a home and small house, but it's still home, and the idea of what could subvert that, and I think that plus a couple trips we made up to Lake George, where it's mountains, trees everywhere, where it's rustic and beautiful, but even that could be turned upside down. Mm-hmm. It seemed just right to set it there. And in fact, that second time that we went to Lake George, I had the book in my head already, and we did a lot of driving around to get a sense of the scenery, the culture, so much of the area that I was able to get into the book. And so that's basically it. But hope that helps. And let's see. Well,
I guess another question for me is, since your third book, which is about the Aqueduct Trail, it's like a different, how do you see your relationship with nature in that versus how the aspects of it that you focus on?
I was actually thinking about this very recently with One Man's Journey, A Walk on the Croton Aqueduct Trail. That's a nonfiction book that is celebrating the joys of being out in nature and just letting it work on you as you dwell, as a lot of people do, taking long walks on life, the universe, and everything. All universal themes of home, family, health, the job, parenting, all these things, and how a long walk can help you put things in perspective. So in that sense, it's like the opposite of the Coven tree, where I'm not going to say the ending of the Coven tree, but you can imagine if you were the family and you were in this home, steel and glass and tile look real good to you. And polymer furniture and all the things that are not natural might look a lot better to you. So it's kind of the opposite kind of book, except it's nonfiction and it's there are no references to the novels in there except the back page. But I'm very. There's no. It is funny to have both kinds of books out, but hey, it's what there is.
Yeah.
Different facets of my personality. There's the nature-loving father who likes to take long walks, and there's the twisted soul that could write horror and loves to watch it and read it. So there. Anyway.
Oh, that's cool. I like that there's that difference.
Yeah.
Did you have any thoughts?
Well, recently I heard about the trees. They have spirit, and they can communicate within themselves. So if you walk in the forest,
Yes.
the tree will tell the other tree somebody is coming, or somebody is hurting us,
Wow.
or what. So this is, relating to your book is, wow, really.
Sure. No, and I certainly believe that to be the case, and in fact, without giving more of the plot away, there is a lot of that in there. Because there's one character who becomes one with nature in a way that he didn't anticipate or want, and he can hear this conversation. And but it's all very new to him, and it is not welcome.
Was it that the celestial networks? Does that mean that they use mushrooms? Trees use mushrooms to communicate.
Yeah.
Like mushrooms are their cell phones.
Neural
like,
system.
Yeah, that's like
Neural
their
network.
internet.
Mm. Fun guy.
Yeah. it is mushroom season, so yeah. All right. Oh, okay. Well, I guess I have a question. Okay, my question is, so in both books you kind of talk about disembodied or like trans body, like you transcend the body in what conventional ways, what we think of being in our bodies.
Mm-hmm.
One of them has this sort of ghost experience, and the other one is like merging of forms and time too. So my question for you is that besides like your interest in horror books and movies, is there a realm of is there a realm of spirit thinking and spirit movement that you think about?
I mean, of me personally.
Yeah, is there are there other ways that you interact with those ideas? Like, did you have disembodied experiences, or someone or
No, not really.
Okay.
No, I would say that they're both the plot devices in both cases,
Mm-hmm.
and both of them the idea gives a lot of potential.
Mm-hmm.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello. Ed just read excerpts from his books.
I'm sorry.
No.
Your neighbor actually lent me a copy of your book, Maria.
Oh, well, yeah. What, wait, Maria Gagliardi?
Yeah,
Oh.
I just met her.
Oh, so she gave you Hindred Spirits.
No, actually the Coven.
She had the Coventry?
You gave it to her.
No, I think it was this one that
Maybe she bought it.
unless she bought it.
The one about with all the pictures of the walking trail.
Oh, you're talking about the Aqueduct book. Yes.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, so you have 3 books.
Yeah, two horror novels and the Aqueduct book. You're talking about the Aqueduct book. Yes. Yeah, Maria,
I don't think she's going to read them.
oh, but she was kind enough to buy them, though.
Oh.
Oh,
Yeah.
we're also broadcasting live online.
Oh.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very
Yeah.
nice.
So should we maybe log off here and then we'll see
Sure.
everyone
Yeah.
else?
No one has any other
Okay.
Anybody have any other questions?
questions on there?
Any other questions? Anyone have something to say on the internet? Or
Well,
that's it for today.
yeah, stay tuned. We'll be we have a packed Halloween weekend here at Curio Room. We have 2 children's authors tomorrow, Matt Bergen and Jonathan Notice. And then later in the evening, we'll have an opening for our Halloween-themed art show featuring DJ Justin McDonald.
The artists are Andy Weibel, Jess Fang, Kevin Perez, Samuel M., Ray Mack, and me, Frog.
And then on Saturday, we'll have poet Aaron Caicedo Kimura, who will be reading. And hope to see you guys around.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Ed.
Oh.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
That was great.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay.